You know, when you read the Qur'an, the afterlife isn't some vague, fuzzy idea. Nope. It's described with incredible, vivid detail. We're talking about the unimaginable bliss of paradise and, on the flip side, the terrifying torment of hellfire. Today, we're going to dive into why these descriptions are so intense and what they're really all about.
So, you have to ask, right? Why are these depictions so graphic? What's the point of these powerful and, let's be honest, often unsettling words? Well, let's get into it. It turns out there's a really profound spiritual and psychological reason for all this detail. It's all designed to shape how a believer thinks, feels, and lives their entire life. Okay, so first up, these descriptions are actually considered part of the Quran's linguistic miracle. The idea is to take these huge, abstract concepts, like eternal reward and punishment, and make them totally real, almost tangible. The goal is to make the promise of paradise something you can practically taste, and the warning of hellfire something you can almost feel burning.
And this wasn't just theory, it was a very real, practical tool for building character. The early Muslims were taught to constantly keep both of these destinies in mind, not to create anxiety, but to strike this perfect balance between hope for God's incredible reward and a healthy fear of his punishment. It's that balance that pushes you toward good and pulls you away from evil.
All right, so let's dive in and really look at these two destinies. They are quite literally worlds apart. We'll start with the landscape of bliss. And what's fascinating is that the Quran even says no person knows what is kept hidden for them of joy, which tells you right away that what we're about to hear is just a glimpse. The real thing is beyond what we can even imagine. I mean, just listen to this. The environment of paradise is an absolute feast for the senses. It's described with these flowing rivers, but they're not ordinary rivers. We're talking rivers of milk that never spoil, rivers of wine that are a pure delight to drink, and rivers of clarified, perfect honey. On top of that, believers are promised these incredible mansions, built one on top of the other, and shade from a tree so huge that you could ride under it for 100 years and still not see the end. And then you have the complete opposite. The environment of hell is just all-encompassing torment. The Quran doesn't just describe it as a fire you're tossed into. No, it's a fire that surrounds you completely. There are layers of fire above you and layers of fire beneath you. There is literally no escape.
So what about something as basic as food? Well, in hell, even that is a form of punishment. The Quran talks about this horrifying tree, the tree of Zaqqum, that grows from the very bottom of hell. Its fruit is compared to the heads of devils, and when it's eaten, it boils inside your stomach like scalding hot oil. And if you're thirsty, you're given boiling water. Water so hot that the scripture says it cuts up their bowels. And if that's not enough, other drinks are mentioned, like the disgusting fluids that seep from the wounds of others being tormented. Every single basic need becomes a new source of agony. So let's just put this side by side for a second. On one hand, you have pure, delicious rivers of milk and honey, every fruit you could ever want. And on the other, food and drink that are designed as instruments of torture. The difference couldn't be more stark. Even the clothing is a form of pain. The Quran says their garments will be made of pitch, which is described as molten copper or tar. Just try to imagine that. Wearing clothes that are themselves burning hot, sticking to your skin, all while fire is covering your face. And it's not just about physical pain, you know? There's this element of total humiliation. Iron collars are locked around their necks. Their hands and feet are bound with fetters, and they're tied up in these enormous chains, said to be 70 cubits long. It's punishment and degradation all in one. Okay, so we've seen the physical descriptions, but what about the psychological state? This is where we get to the point of no return, the finality of it all. And this is the moment of absolute crushing regret. When they are face to face with the reality of their punishment, they finally get it. They cry out, they beg God for just one more chance, just one, to go back to the world and do things right. They fully admit the evil they used to do. But what's the answer? It's final. It's absolute. The door is shut forever. The response from God is severe. Remain you in it with ignominy, and speak you not to me. That's it. The time for choices is over. Their fate is sealed. Now, let's flip that coin. What's happening in paradise at the same time? Well, beyond all the physical beauty, it's a place of incredible connection. Believers are described as brothers facing each other on thrones, just talking, reminiscing with pure joy about how their mindfulness of God in their first life saved them from all that torment.
But here's where it gets really amazing. The Quran promises the best reward, and then it says, and even more. So what could possibly be more than eternal paradise? Well, according to Islamic tradition, this even more is the greatest gift imaginable. It's the moment God removes the veil and the believers get to see him. And to top it all off, the ultimate spiritual peace comes when God promises them his good pleasure forever. This means they get to live in a state of absolute contentment, knowing with full certainty that he will never be angry with them, ever again. It is the ultimate peace.
So you see, it all comes back to the beginning. The reason for these incredibly detailed, intense descriptions of both paradise and hellfire is to serve as our guide. It's a moral compass for life, powered by these two massive engines, the hope for an unbelievable reward and the fear of a devastating consequence. Which really leaves us with a deep question to think about. What does it actually mean to live a life guided by both of these powerful emotions? And how does balancing that hope and that fear truly shape who we are, the choices we make, and where we ultimately end up?